We're in hard times and some of us are going to need a lawyer. And if you need a lawyer, don't just react to a TV commercial. Get a copy of the Lawyers Consumer Directory, which is available absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven store throughout Central Florida. The Lawyers Consumer Directory is going to give you real hardcore knowledge on how to hire a lawyer and a lot of information on issues like bankruptcy, foreclosure, and more. Get the Lawyers Consumer Directory. It's absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven throughout Central Florida.
The Christian Star began as a newspaper whose news focus of interest was of Christians, but it's become a lot more than that, covering issues of concerns to our community, covering issues of national, state, local, and political agendas that affect us today. The Christian Star is available free at any 7-Eleven store. So pick up your copy of the Christian Star Bilingual free at 7-Eleven today.
Ahora puedes demostrar tu orgullo hispano mientras manejas en la carretera con la nueva tablilla o placa de auto hispana conmemorando los 500 años del descubrimiento de Florida por Juan Ponce de León.
Obtén tu tablilla hispana este año y harás la diferencia.
Nuestra comunidad se beneficiará con más programas y servicios.
Resalta nuestra cultura, nuestras raíces.
¿Necesitas un abogado? Detente. No contrates un abogado simplemente por haberlo visto en un anuncio comercial. Lawyers Consumer Directory te ofrece la solución para todo tipo de problemas legales, tales como inmigración, bancarrota, divorcios, entre otros. Y hasta te ayuda a cómo contratar un abogado. No te rompa la cabeza buscando la solución cuando la tienes en tus manos. Adquiérelo gratis, sí, absolutamente gratis en cualquier 7-Eleven.
Hi, I'm Danny Ramos, and welcome to this week's edition of Hispanic Speak Out TV, brought to you every week on Bright House Cable TV, Channel 49, and we've been on the air, surprisingly. We had to really figure all of this out for approximately 12 years. I'm not exactly sure when we started, but I know it's at least 12 years. Hispanic Speak Out TV has been on the air on Bright House. And I'm here with my co-host, Jose Miranda. How you doing, Jose?
What's up?
Jose is from Radio Fame on, what station was that?
810.
He was on 8:10 a.m. on Saturdays, and he had his show called Yo Soy Latino. And we have Monica here with us. What's your last name, Monica?
Echevarria.
Echevarria. And she visits us and she helps out with us with the show. And I just want to give you a heads up that we're having a job fair, a career fair on May 10th. That's going to be at the Doubletree Hilton Hotel down by the Orlando Airport. The job fair is going to start at 12 o'clock. It goes 12 to 4. So if you're looking for a job, we have a lot of major companies participating in that job fair. Bring resumes, dress appropriately, and come down. You should get there by 11:30, and because there will be a line of people waiting to be interviewed. We expect to have about 40 companies waiting for you. Don't forget, May 10th, it's going to be at the Doubletree Hilton Hotel, and that's going to be at beginning 11:30 a.m., and it's going to go till at least 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Doubletree where?
The Doubletree right outside the airport.
Oh, okay.
The Orlando Airport,
Airport
on 436.
There we go.
Orlando Airport, 436. Don't forget that we have the license plate, the Hispanic license plate. It's in 360 DMVs. So if it's your birthday this month or it's somebody's birthday, you can give them the plate. The plate is the first Hispanic license plate in the nation, so don't forget to pick that up at your DMV. Proceeds go to scholarships for Hispanic students all over the state of Florida. What else do we have? What are we talking about today? Want to talk about the plate?
We can talk about the plate.
Okay.
How's that going?
I think it's going really well. By the time this airs, we have a major meeting up in Tallahassee with the Hispanic leadership of the legislature, and they're redefining the law, which is going to be voted on probably in the next 3 weeks.
And what is the refining of the law?
Well, we're changing the law because we had some issues. When they originally passed the law, we were not permitted to use revenue from the plate for advertising. So we had the issue that we could only promote the plate either through social media. We couldn't get a billboard. We couldn't do things that normal other plates are allowed to do. So while other plates can do those things, we weren't permitted to do it by law. And there were some other issues that restricted us, and I don't know why they were there. but they were in the law that when it was passed. So now we're changing that. We're going through those legal changes to make that plate more accessible to people and its distribution and availability more accessible. So we're doing that. And Jose, what do you want to talk about? What do you got today? Okay. You know. All right. You don't have anything to talk about? Okay, then I'll lead. Okay. I had an interesting situation with MetLife. Okay. MetLife is a major corporation in the U.S. and they are cutting the Hispanic budgets in the U.S. And substantially.
The reason why? What is the reason?
I don't know the reason exactly, but I can tell you this. I had a conversation with a MetLife executive who said, quote, the reason why we're doing this is because we are no longer a U.S. company.
Okay.
And we are now considering ourselves. I don't know.
Maybe they're moving. I think
they're considering themselves a global company. Right. So now they're making shifts. Now this is the diversity department of MetLife. So that tells you something really big, because what happens is the diversity department of a company is a department which is relatively new by the standards of corporations, and their job is to make sure that the workforce stays diverse and it has proper representation of the demographics of all the people in the United States.
So you're saying they
at all
don't need
levels.
Hispanics anymore?
I don't
Pretty
know.
much. If they're saying they're global, now they just...
I don't know exactly, because, you know, that is subject to interpretation of what it means, because when somebody tells me, hey, you know what, we're cutting the Hispanic budget, and because we are no longer a U.S. company, we're a global company, somebody can take that a different way. I mean, you can take it one way, you can take it one way.
Okay, in the sense of global means all around the world. So there's Hispanics all around the world.
Yeah,
They're just different. They live in different continents and stuff like that. Yeah, that's it. But they're still Hispanic.
That's the one with Snoopy, right?
Yeah,
that's the one with Snoopy.
They should take Snoopy and the dog that came in and. Psst,
yeah.
Isn't Snoopy American or from the States? No,
I don't know.
It's now Snoopy will be global.
I think,
is what you're talking
yeah. Well,
about.
maybe that's not the real Snoopy, because Snoopy must be 200 years old as the dog by now. So maybe this is a hybrid. Maybe this is the son of the son. They intermarried him, you know, with someone else, you know, and we got a different kind of Snoop.
That's just an easy way for them to say that they can't fund anything. Yeah, they committed. They committed.
They're collecting the money. They're still making money. There's not a corporation on the planet that's not making money.
Well, the stock market, hits the highest amount that.
So they're making money.
No, they're making money.
They should hit the bricks and go someplace else.
Yeah,
that's a cheap excuse, I think.
Yeah, well, you know what the reality is that corporations have disconnected themselves from America.
Right.
They're disconnecting themselves because major corporations now, I know a particular corporation that had 60,000 employees in the U.S.
Right.
60,000. 15 years ago, they had 60,000 employees. Okay? Within the last 8 years, they got rid of everybody. They're down to 2,000 employees in the United States.
And they're making money fist over here.
They're making money because...
From us, too. Because if you think... And also, they're making money from the Hispanic community, because people that work...
There are
and our
companies...
Hispanics that have MetLife as, what, the providers for insurance?
Well, what I did was I sent an email today because we put in for a proposal for a MetLife company to provide a retirement group, which over 300 people, and MetLife submitted the proposal. Now, of course, the executive up at MetLife didn't know that we were getting a proposal for 300 executives to retire, you know, different independent business people. So when they cut the budgets, what we did, we just sent a letter out to eliminate MetLife from the retirement pool, and we went to Prudential.
Right.
You know, it's as simple as that. You know, if
you're not going to work with me, I'm not going to work with you.
Yeah, it's a win-win. You know, you got to have a win-win in a business relationship. So MetLife cut the Hispanic budget, and I understand they're cutting it in other areas. So I reacted instantly, and I sent a memo. And the person that I sent the memo to, oddly enough, is a company called I forgot the name of it, but it's New England something. But that New England something is an affiliate of MetLife. And so she sent me the email saying affiliated with MetLife, and then she said, no, I'm a broker. I can do business with anybody. So what I'll do is I'll get you Prudential.
Wow.
Okay, so I said, fine, get me Prudential. So I would think that MetLife lost a couple of $1 million worth of business going forward, maybe a lot more, just on this one situation.
This just seems like a game. And this is where, let's follow the money, where the banking is. They're not banking in the United States because they want to save tax money.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're banking elsewhere. This is just another way of them to avoid paying what is due.
Well, the amazing thing is, and it's not so amazing when you really think about it, because you know, major corporations are making more money now than they ever made in their history.
Right.
Okay, yet the economy is suffering, and that's because they have abandoned the country.
Right.
MetLife
they're not putting any money back in the country.
They're not putting money back in the country. What they're doing is they're going to China and paying people 50 cents an hour instead of paying an American worker, you know? And the labor movement hasn't been able to catch up with that. You know, they haven't, in Detroit, they started the comeback. They started a little bit of a comeback. But the rest of it, you know, and what I think people should start doing is they should just start saying, okay, you want to do that? Guess what? We're going to react. Like I reacted. I'm going to react.
You're not going to support their
We're
business.
not going to support your
They're
business.
not going to support the rest, the
And you want to know
Hispanic community
something?
or any other community.
This conversation that we're having right now, okay, this conversation hurts a company.
Okay.
Because what we're doing is we're exposing their behavior towards Hispanics. So that Hispanics, and we reach a lot of people.
Yes.
We're one of the largest growing markets in the world.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're killing them in the United States. And yet we have corporations that are making, this last week or the week before, record numbers of profits. And they're not spending it here. They're not spending it among the constituents.
They're taking it somewhere else.
And then we don't need them. I'm always amazed at why we need Wall Street to begin with anyway. Okay? Why can't we have our own system? And then cut them out and let them come to us to participate.
You want to know something? That's going to happen, and you want to. I really think that they have gone to such an extreme that what's happening, what I see, and the way I'm reacting, other people are going to start to react.
And other
because
people
you
that own
know
their
you go
businesses
into a
that might use
supermarket
their services.
and you pick up a little box, and you know you have icons that have been in this country for 100 years, product icons, right? And then very small on the inside of the flap it says "Made in China."
Right.
You know?
Right.
Because they don't want people to know that if they were proud that they were being made in China, they would put it across the box in 18-point type. Hey, look, this product is made in China in big letters. They hide it. They actually hide it. And they hide it because they know they're making so much money by going to China, and they're exploiting people over there because they're not paying them what they should be paid.
No, absolutely.
Not only people, but children.
Yeah.
A lot of companies use minors. They use younger kids, which that's here it's against the law.
So why is the Hispanic community lagging behind? Why are they lagging?
Because
we don't know this right now.
They're not organized. The Hispanic community is not organized. It's the same thing. We had Terso Morano here, right? Terso Morano runs into the same thing. He's been a farm worker leader for 25 years. Right. And what happens? What happens is his people are still picking the fruit, and major corporations are not paying them what they should be paid. Right. In fact, they want them to be illegal so they don't have to pay them. So they can pay them less and not provide any benefits. Correct. And that fight's been going on for 25 years. So but you know, the American worker has always been exploited. But then the pendulum swung the other way where unions really grabbed control. Right. And then it started to swing the other way. But what happened was, it was never expected that major corporations would jump ship and say, we are no longer a U.S. company. Right. We're a global company. So what does that mean? Why don't you move your headquarters to China and get the hell out?
Right.
But they still keep their headquarters here.
That's because
they just want to do then they'll do another headquarter in China and say, well, no, that's a really big office. No, this is our one of our smaller branches. So they're actually global. But it doesn't have to only be China. They can go anywhere global.
But you're right.
There's a point of view, though. Hispanics don't care. They don't care until they actually knock on the door and take something from them. Until that point, it's somebody else.
But you want to know
but some of the ones that don't care are the ones that are, they just get their paychecks. These are the ones that I think don't care. The ones that get their paychecks, do their banking, and they get their medical insurance, they get everything they need. They're not worried. Now, you talk about somebody that owns a business and stuff like this, this might reach out to them, and they might care about this situation because they know that it's going to affect their employees in the long run and everybody around.
It has to start with people like us. We're going going to take a break right now. We'll be back in a couple of minutes, and we might even change the subject. We'll be right back. We're in hard times, and some of us are going to need a lawyer. And if you need a lawyer, don't just react to a TV commercial. Get a copy of the Lawyers Consumer Directory, which is available absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven store throughout Central Florida. The Lawyers Consumer Directory is going to give you real hardcore knowledge on how to hire a lawyer and a lot of information on issues like bankruptcy, foreclosure, and more. Get the Lawyers Consumer Directory. It's absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven throughout Central Florida.
The Christian Star began as a newspaper whose news focus of interest was of Christians, but it's become a lot more than that, covering issues of concerns to our community, covering issues of national, state, local, and political agendas that affect us today. The Christian Star is available free at any 7-Eleven store. So pick up your copy of the Christian Star Bilingual free at 7-Eleven today.
Hi, this is Danny Ramos, and welcome to Hispanic Speak Out TV. We were just talking about how major corporations are shifting out of the United States. They're giving up their U.S. identity, although they don't want Americans to know that, okay? And they're shifting their emphasis abroad. They're cutting their budgets in the U.S. for social programs, for supporting Hispanics, and they're going to other countries so they can get cheaper labor. And most manufacturing companies have abandoned the United States, and now we're starting to see service companies, although companies like Citicorp, Capital One, all of those guys, they have service departments in India, in China, in Pakistan. The manufacturing usually goes to China or Mexico, you know. And now we're seeing insurance companies go out, and they're declaring, and like I said before, I had an insurance company, MetLife, declare that they are no longer a U.S. company. They are want themselves to be known as a global company. And as a global company, if they're making that kind of statement, what kind of loyalty do they have to the U.S. consumer, particularly Hispanics, when they're cutting the Hispanic budget?
Yeah, I think
and
it's time to send Snoopy packing.
Let's send Snoopy packing.
No, I think Snoopy needs to stay. Who needs to go packing might be MetLife. Because Snoopy has been around for a long time.
Well, Snoopy, the cartoon character.
The cartoon character.
They pay him well.
Yeah,
they
I guess
pay
they
him
pay
well.
him
He
well.
may not be American anymore either.
Who knows, right?
Hey, you know, maybe they interbred him or something. I don't know.
That's right. That's right. So.
Let's change the subject now a little bit, and we'll jump into a little bit of politics. And let's talk about President Obama has announced that he's going to be making a trip to Israel, which is, he's going into a war zone. There's no question that's a war zone. I mean, the United States is considered almost a war zone with the type of security that we have. And, you know, quite frankly, I am very concerned about this particular trip that he's making. I think that this is a president who's going into a war zone, announcing it in advance, going in this huge plane, you know, that you can spot from halfway across the ocean, you know, and determine where he is, how high he is. And I'm really concerned.
So you think there might be a security breach?
I think that there are...
Or he's putting his life at risk by giving them so much
I don't think
I
don't think, you know what, I don't think it's necessary for him to go to do what he has to do.
Right.
I mean, we've had chief executives go into war zones completely unannounced.
Sure.
I mean, you know, during Afghanistan, you know, we had people go in there.
Done the same thing in Afghanistan.
Yeah, in the middle of the night, you know, they fly in, nobody knows, it's unannounced.
Right.
All of a sudden, they see Air Force One on the runway, and nobody knew about it. Here, they're announcing it months in advance.
Don't you think it might be a reason they're doing it? There has to be a reason.
It's not the only aircraft.
No, they have two of them.
They have a couple of them.
Yeah.
Plus
have
the aircraft. There's nothing that's going to happen to the president.
No, but
hope
is there
not.
a reason that you think it might be a reason why he's doing
I tell you
this,
what,
or letting them know ahead of time?
I think he's going into an area where there are so many people that within the people that are considered to be friends of the United States, there are factions. It's like a pie.
Right.
And the country is a pie. You take that pie up and you have friends of the United States, you have people that are neutral, you have people that are not friends of the United States, and then you have extremists all within the country of Israel.
Well,
and
you
have
them right here too.
Yeah, and then you have the same thing going on in Egypt, the same thing in Iran, And I think that it is a hot situation. I think that something can happen or be, even within Israel itself.
Receives 30 death threats of assassination in a day, an increase of over 400%. Okay, his
over any other president.
And in history.
Wow.
In history, a jump of over 400%. Okay, so this president is totally aware. This president has had extra security since
Jose,
1977.
There is a very well-known situation that FBI and CIA knows. If you want to kill a president, you can do it.
Look at Kennedy.
Kennedy.
Lincoln.
You know, Ronald Reagan got shot. You know, there's a history that if you have a mechanism and the mechanism is well put together, you can get to anybody. It doesn't matter what, you get to the Pope, anybody. Here we have,
unless he's going to be in a bubble.
This is a society, especially our society, okay, that has ignored its past, you know, its racism.
Well, that's my point.
It's ignored its racism because for some reason this country in particular has ignored, has somehow touted itself that we've gone beyond the racist part of things. But in effect, all they've become is a closet, and now they've opened the closet up and they're allowing themselves to speak openly, using the N-word and using the spick word, and using a whole bunch of words there.
Yeah.
He's showing no fear.
I think that
going
here,
in without no fear.
No, but I think here, I think that here there's more control. We have more protection here.
Right.
But when he goes to Israel, he just, you know, the Obama administration gave 200 tanks to Egypt.
Right.
Okay, they gave 20 or 25 state-of-the-art jets. Now, there's only one country that they would use that against, Israel. I'm sure there is ultra people that are just extremists within the Israeli situation that consider that move to be treacherous, you know? And I think that there are people, that's a country that's always at war. There are people within that society that would consider that kind of a political move to be totally against the interests of Israel. So what happens? What happens, you can come up with a scenario where somebody within one area might try something and then set it up so they blame Iran, and then the United States attacks Iran.
Right.
And that's not so far from the military complex to do. You know that.
Correct.
Are you trying to set them about assassination?
No, what we're talking about. Look what happened. Look what happened with Iraq. Look at the situation with Iraq. We went to war in Iraq on a false premise.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, you know, there's nothing
that
short.
Your president took us to.
No, that our president. Okay, Obama's my president, Bush was my president, Reagan was my president, Clinton was my president. Okay, now that doesn't mean I agree with anything or everything each one of them did, because I disagreed with all of them in some respects. But in this particular incident, we know that, you know, Eisenhower, when after World War II, said the most dangerous thing to America, and he was a militarist, he was a general, a 5-star general. He said the most dangerous thing to America is its own military complex.
Okay.
There's so much money involved and there's so much politics involved that the military complex is extremely, extremely powerful and can be dangerous if the opportunity arises. So it can come from any one of 5 different ways. You know, the odds are really, I think the odds are extreme.
I think in order to demonstrate democracy and how we live it and why we live it, it's important that this president not live in a bubble, that he go forward with his ideas to unite the world, to unite the countries.
I think you're right. Okay. The only thing is that you have to be realistic about where you put him and how you put him. If you're putting him into a dangerous situation, you know, just to prove a point. I mean, they've already proven that they can take down the World Trade Center. They've already proven that terrorists can operate here. Now imagine in Israel.
Right.
You know, where you have Israelis within the government that are really, really against the United States and what they're doing with what's going on in Egypt, you know, and the leadership of Egypt. So there's so many dynamics going on that something can happen that can be hidden and that could trigger the United States into another battle,
So you're
another
saying
war.
you should just decline the invitation?
What I'm saying is they got to be very careful.
What would you recommend?
It was an invitation?
What I would recommend is they come here. That's what I would recommend. I would recommend, hey, listen, we want to talk, come to the White House. It's that simple. Come to the White House. We can talk in the White House. Why should we have to put our president in harm's way? You know, to go talk to somebody in Israel with all that stuff going on all over the place.
Maybe he's trying
Bring them
to
here.
show that he's not scared.
Yeah, but that...
But then at the
But
same, I understand where you're
You're
coming
going
from,
into
but
harm's
yeah.
way. I mean, you know, you can walk into a neighborhood. I used to walk in a neighborhood in the Bronx, and I go down a street, and there are some streets, your hair goes up on your back, and then you go, no, I'm not going this way, I'm going this way. It's an instinctive feeling, survival instinct kicks in,
Right.
you know? And that's what I'm feeling about this trip. I hope, God forbid anything does happen, but I hope that they're very careful with what they're doing. I think we're running out of time now.
Yes,
I just wanted to give you a heads up again. We have a career fair coming up on May 10th. If you're looking for a job, and we have all different level jobs. We have hospitality jobs, we have executive jobs. If you're looking for a job with a big company, on May 10th, we're having a career fair. It's called the Diversity Career Fair. This career fair is designed for mostly Hispanics and Afro-Americans because they're the ones under the gun. You know, they got extremely high unemployment.
Yes.
And
You should dress for success also.
dress for success. And you know, most people do job fairs and they don't consider and they don't target the minorities. You know, they don't go to the minority media to advertise it. So we're doing the minority side.
Minority.
So if you're black, Hispanic, if you're women, everybody's welcome to come. Don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But the specific task of this is to help the minority community find jobs. May 10th, it's going to be at the DoubleTree Hilton at the entrance to the Orlando Airport on 436. Do not miss this job fair. It's a great opportunity. 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock, okay? This is Danny Ramos on Hispanic Speak Out. Jose Miranda.
And Monica Echeverria. Good
Say that
night.
again?
Monica Echeverria.
Okay, I just didn't get it first.
Good night.
We'll see you next week on Hispanic Speak Out TV. Thank you very much for joining us.
Ahora puedes demostrar tu orgullo hispano mientras manejas en la carretera con la nueva tablilla o placa de auto hispana conmemorando los 500 años del descubrimiento de Florida por Juan Ponce de León.
Obtén tu tablilla hispana este año y harás la diferencia.
Solo 1,000 se necesitan para hacerla permanente.
Su donativo ayudará a estudiantes con becas.
Nuestra comunidad se beneficiará con más programas y servicios.
Resalta nuestra cultura, nuestras raíces.
Demostremos que en la unión está la fuerza.
Obtén tu tablilla hispana en el Departamento de Vehículos de Motor más cercano o llama hoy al 321-277-0850.
We're in hard times and some of us are going to need a lawyer. And if you need a lawyer, don't just react to a TV commercial. Get a copy of the Lawyers Consumer Directory, which is available absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven store throughout Central Florida. The Lawyers Consumer Directory is going to give you real hardcore knowledge on how to hire a lawyer and a lot of information on issues like bankruptcy, foreclosure, and more. Get the Lawyers Consumer Directory. It's absolutely free of charge at any 7-Eleven throughout Central Florida.
The Christian Star began as a newspaper whose news focus of interest was of Christians, but it's become a lot more than that, covering issues of concerns to our community, covering issues of national, state, local, and political agendas that affect us today. The Christian Star is available free at any 7-Eleven store. So pick up your copy of the Christian Star Bilingual free at 7-Eleven today.
¿Necesitas un abogado? Detente. No contrates un abogado simplemente por haberlo visto en un anuncio comercial. Lawyers Consumer Directory te ofrece la solución para todo tipo de problemas legales, tales como inmigración, bancarrota, divorcios, entre otros. Y hasta te ayuda a cómo contratar un abogado. No te rompa la cabeza buscando la solución cuando la tienes en tus manos. Adquiérelo gratis, sí, absolutamente gratis en cualquier 7-Eleven.